Hello and welcome to mehFILM. Today, I will be talking about 2024 erotic drama film Emmanuelle. I'll attempt a semiotic analysis of the film Emmanuelle. So, before we enter into the discussion of this film, let us know about the director of the film, Audrey Diwan. The film is directed by Audrey Diwan, who is a French film director. She has also worked as a screenwriter and journalist before turning into a director. Diwan has made only three films, including movie in discussion, and out of those, two films deal with female central characters. Emmanuelle is also centered around a character called Emmanuelle. So, Audrey Diwan's Emmanuelle, starring Noemi Malland as the titular protagonist, reimagines the iconic erotic franchise as a contemplative exploration of female desire. Set against the backdrop of a luxurious Southeast Asian resort. The film was based on the erotic novel with the same title, Emmanuelle, written in French by Emmanuelle Arson. Here, the gaze moves from the male centrality and pleasure of the past, Emmanuelle, to self reflective feminine gaze. This is the major shift in the film. There has been the entire series of Emmanuelle, if you are aware about those retro movies. But those movies were largely concerned about the male gaze and male pleasure, while this Emmanuelle basically shifts that gaze and it reflects a kind of feminine gaze. Drawing on the semiotic theory, particularly Roland Barthes' concept of denotation, that is literal meaning, and connotation, that is cultural meaning, this analysis focuses on the film's visual symbolism. Divan employs a restrained, dreamlike aesthetic cinematography by Laurent Tanky to signify the tension between opulent access and internal repression. Visual signs such as pristine architecture, symbolic objects, color palettes, and camera movements construct a narrative of elusive gratification, where pleasure is both promised and perpetually deferred. So we begin with the luxury hotel in which the 90% of the film is presented. That hotel as a signifier of controlled desire. The film's primary setting, the Rosefield Hotel, a sprawling modernist resort evoking colonial era grandeur in a Vietnamese locale, functions as a polysemous sign. Denotatively, it represents high-end hospitality, with Emmanuelle tasked with evaluating its facilities for a luxury magazine. But connotatively, the hotel embodies the commodification of intimacy. Its pristine corridors and infinity pools suggest boundless indulgence, yet their sterile symmetry signified restraint and surveillance. The architecture's clean lines and vast empty lobbies mirror Emmanuel's psychological state, spacious yet confining, promising liberation but enforcing a performative gaze. This symbolism intensifies in the hotel's secret wing, a hidden construction zone glimpsed through half open doors. The camera doesn't reach there that secret wings, but we can see through the doors, open windows. Okay. As a liminal space, it connotes forbidden access. Okay. You can see it, but you cannot achieve it, paralleling Emmanuel's repressed desires. The motif of enclosed luxury critics post-colonial dynamics, with the resort's Western opulence overlaying Eastern exoticism, evoking Barthes' mythologies of tourism as a sanitized encounter the other. Here, visual expanses of marble and glass denote affluence but connote emotional isolation, emotional indifference, underscoring the film's theme of desire as a transaction rather than a release. Another important symbolic object from ice to anticlimax. Objects in Emmanuelle serve as potent signifiers, distilling abstract emotions into tangible forms. A recurring prop, that is, the ice cube, used in an intimate scene where Emmanuelle traces it across her skin, replaces the original 1974 film's provocative smoking vagina cigarette, shifting from fiery transgression to chilled detachment. This is the kind of dichotomy that the director is trying to create with the Part franchise, denotatively a cooling agent, that is, the ice cube. It connotes emotional frigidity, symbolizing a feminist eroticism that feels sanitized and performative. The melting ice evokes impermanence, mirroring the film's anticlimactic sex scenes where arousal builds but dissipates without fulfillment. Another key symbol is the drooping exotic bouquet in the hotel lobby. It wilted orchids and frangipani, signifying petite mort, the little date of orgasmic release, yet rendered important. This floral motif recurs in boudoir arrangements, their vibrant pinks and whites denoting tropical sensuality but connoting decay and unfulfilling longing. High thread count linens, obsessively pristine and white, further amplify this. They invite tactile pleasure but resist dirtiness, symbolizing societal taboos around female messiness and abandon. These objects collectively signify a commodified body, where pleasure is aestheticized but never fully embodied. Color palette and lighting in the movie. Diwan's visual style leans on a desaturated palette dominated by whites, silvers, and muted pastels, evoking a chilly eroticism that aligns with the film's aloof tone. White linens and marble floors denote purity and luxury, but connote emotional sterility, a visual correlative to Emmanuel's discerning restraint. Soft, diffused lighting from floor to ceiling, windows, bar scenes in a hazy glow, reminiscent of Wong Kar-wai's neon-drenched longing. Yet, here it signifies diffusion rather than intensity. Shadows play across skin during intimate moments, their elongated forms cornering psychological fragmentation as if desire fractures under observation. This chromatic restraint extends to skin tones. Malan's pale complexion contrasts with the resort's exotic backdrop, signifying Western alienation in an Eastern idyll. The occasional flush of red, for example, lipstick, a silk robe, acts as a punctuating signifier of arousal, but its rarity underscores elusiveness, turning color into a tease rather than a crescendo. Camera work and motifs, specifically surveillance and spectrality. Cinematographer Laurent Tanguy's ultra slick framing employs motifs of surveillance to interrogate voyeurism. Handheld shots from CCTV angles in the hotel's observation room denote monitoring but connote internalized judgment, with Emmanuel's nude selfies extending this to auto surveillance, a digital mirror reflecting her fragmented self image. These static, wide angle compositions signify control, transforming erotic encounters into observed performances. The dynamic camera movements provide counterpoint. An orbital shot encircling Emmanuel during her long awaited orgasm denotes culmination. Yet, its mechanical precision connotes detachment, as if pleasure is choreographed rather than spontaneous. The spectral figure of Kai, an enigmatic regular, is captured in blurred, ghostly long shots, her presence signifying unattainable idealization. This motif of the elusive other recurs in reflections, mirrors, full surfaces, where fragmented images denote multiplicity but connote the impossibility of wholeness in desire. To conclude, through these visual signs, Emmanuel's words is softcore heritage using symbolism to critique the myth of liberated sexuality. The film's dreamlike rhythm and proportioned compositions, staggy build-ups yielding to anticlimax, signify not failure but a deliberate deconstruction. Pleasure as a sign under constant deferral, observed yet unowned. In a semiotic sense, Diwan transforms the erotic gaze from male fantasy to female inquiry, where visuals of opulence and chill expose the power structures beneath desire. Ultimately, the film's beauty lies in its purposeful aloofness, inviting viewers to read between the lines for the unspoken yearnings they conceal. So that is all from my side. I look forward to your comments and suggestions. Thank you.